Hello, thanks for joining us. This is Dr. Christian Heim, consultant psychiatrist, living for preventative mental health, love and compassion. And right here and now, we're going to look at the question of self-isolating and brain chemicals. This actually comes from a question by a uni student who basically asked me, look, we're all going to be self-isolating for weeks, maybe months. How am I supposed to stay happy? So what I've done is I've just taken that word happy and I've just changed it to how can we make sure that you get the feel-good brain chemicals that you need? Now, I also want to say that these are the ones that I believe that you need rather than the ones that you think that you want or are a quick fix in front of you. All right, to get this going, what you want to do is think in terms of brain chemicals. And I want to give you 4 brain chemicals to think of, all right? The first one is dopamine. The second one is oxytocin. The third one is serotonin. And the last one is beta endorphins. And the convenient thing about these 4 brain chemicals is they spell out the word dose. D-O-S-E. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin and endorphins. So if you get the right dose of these 4 brain chemicals, you'll be okay. All right, now let me tell you about the brain. There are tens of thousands of chemicals up there. We may know several dozen pretty well. Well, we think we do anyway. And I'm boiling it down to 4 feel-good brain chemicals, and I'm simplifying things a lot. And I just want you to have these as something to hang information off. Let's get started, all right? Brain chemical number 1 is dopamine. Now we kind of know dopamine. Dopamine gives us pleasure. Anywhere there is pleasure, dopamine is there. It's there in a ringtone. It's there in your favorite song. It's there in a lot of food that we love. It's there in sex. It's there in certain drugs, all right? But nature does something really important that I just feel it's really important to get a grasp of this, okay? Because what nature does with it is it links pleasure with a purpose. Let's take food. Foods that are good for you taste good. And foods that are poisonous taste disgusting. And the whole thing is linked to survival. Nature will reward you for doing things that are good for survival. Okay? Same with sex. Sex feels so good because nature gets a chance to have a future generation. We get a chance to have children, and love relationships can stay together more thanks to sex. It's a big reward because love and a future generation is all part of our survival. So we get rewarded heavily for it. Here's the thing though, we have learned how to take pleasure away from the purpose, okay? So we have put together a whole lot of foods that have artificial sweeteners, and guess what? They taste good, but they're not as nutritious for us. And we all know the problems associated with that. When it comes to sex, if we try to get the pleasure of sex without the purpose of being in a love relationship, some of us get into some risky areas there, okay, and cause a few problems. Then there's the problem of drugs. And one of the biggest problems of drugs is that we have taken the pleasure and there's no purpose. Drugs don't serve a purpose whatsoever. The pleasure is the purpose, which is okay in some circumstances, but you know, you may pay a really high price sometimes just to get that pleasure. And the people that I've worked with that have been addicted to drugs tell me that life is never the same. Other things that are supposed to give them pleasure don't give them that pleasure anymore, okay? And it's really hard not to go for that pleasure that they've had in the first place. Right, so the take-home message that I want you to have about dopamine is link pleasure and purpose. That's to optimize your dopamine. And for your brain to be happy, that is content on a long-term basis, dopamine is only a quick fix, all right? It's these other 3 that become more important. So let's get into them. Brain chemical number 2 is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hug drug, the love drug. Whenever you're making love, whenever you hug somebody that you like, whenever you are speaking kind words with friends or family, oxytocin is there. We've even got studies to show that oxytocin is there when people who are in business do this. They shake hands, they make a deal, because when you make a deal with somebody, there's trust. We've decided that we can do this together. I trust you, you trust me. This is all mediated by oxytocin. Oxytocin is a people drug, if you like. It's all about people interactions. It's interactions with your parents, with your children, your siblings, your friends, whoever. People means oxytocin, and it makes the brain feel fantastic. So if you're lying on the couch with a bunch of your friends enjoying a movie, you're getting dopamine from the movie, but you're also getting oxytocin because you're sharing it with friends. So how does that look in self-isolation? This is the biggest challenge, because in isolation, that people aspect is being taken away. The internet's going to be wonderful for this. You use those webcams, you use those screens, you use whatever app that you need to share with people. Have dinners together over the internet. Gosh, I know people who've done it when they're apart overseas. You can do it when you're apart because the person's in the next street, but you can't go visit them. Have parties over the internet. Invite people over on the internet. Have a talk. Have business meetings over the internet. Do your classes over the internet. Just hearing somebody's voice will trigger a release of oxytocin in you. Number 3, serotonin. Serotonin is not so much a happiness chemical, more like a chill, relax, feel comfortable, kick your shoes off type chemical. It's when you feel comfortable about who you are and what you're doing, and there's a certain underlying confidence that you are where you're supposed to be. A lot of the medications that I use work on the serotonin system. They boost serotonin to make people feel relaxed, calm, and they use this word happy. Serotonin is going to take a bit of a hit during this time when you're isolating, because we get a lot of serotonin from people, but we also get a lot of serotonin by feeling on top of our game, feeling that we know what we're doing in this world. And we're not going to have that feeling for a while. We may not have that feeling for a long while. However, if you evaluate your life, where you're heading, the things that you like, curl up in front of a fire or an air conditioner, depending on where you're living, with a good book, serotonin is going to be there, because that feeling of being cozy and taking care of yourself is going to give you serotonin. Go for a walk in sunshine, have a look at the night sky, feel a part of nature, and serotonin will be boosted. Serotonin gets boosted when you talk to people. So get on your mobile phones, get onto the internet, text, message, however you do it, stay with people for serotonin. Number 4. Number 4 is beta endorphins. Now, a lot of you will know that beta endorphins get released when you jog a lot. It's that runner's high, because when you're in pain, then this beta endorphin, which is the brain's own brand of morphine, will come to the rescue to bring you out of pain. But that's not the purpose of beta endorphins. This is just a theory, all right? And the theory is based on this. Endorphins get released when you laugh, when you cry, when you are with people, when you feel that you are part of the group. Okay? Anything that we do together, singing, dancing, drumming, making music. For me, and this is the theory, beta endorphin is the campfire chemical. Anything that you would do with friends around a campfire is so good for your survival that your brain will release a bit of morphine to keep you out of pain so that you can stay with people. How do you do this when you're self-isolating? Again, you sing along with music. You find stuff to laugh with. You find those movies that make you cry, and you do it with somebody else too. If you get the opportunity and you want to watch a movie, find 2 or 3 other people and make a time to see it together, because then you can talk about it beforehand and afterwards, and you know, the brain knows that other people are having the same experience that you do. And it is that releases beta endorphins. So for me, beta endorphins is the campfire chemical, the togetherness chemical. And here are the 4 chemicals: dopamine, pleasure; oxytocin, love and trust; serotonin, chill and comfort; and beta endorphin, campfire, togetherness. They're the 4 brain chemicals to keep your brain happy. And you know what does it the most? It's people. It's just true. We are social creatures, and being social creatures is good for our survival. So nature has set up our brains that whenever we're with people, we optimize all our brain chemicals. And I know that's a challenge. You're self-isolating. But look what we've done as a human race, what we've done as people. We've come up with this thing called the internet, where we can spend time together even when we are miles apart. Do what you can to spend time together, and then you'll be doing all that you can to optimize your brain chemicals during this difficult time. And thanks for those questions. This is Dr. Christian Heim, and I'll see you next time.